scaling fresh record highs for the index right now. So we are above the mark of 25,150, and bulk of that move has actually come in the last few minutes. It's Reliance which is powering this move as well ahead of the AGM. We have seen historically that there is a bit of sell-on news that happens. Let's see whether today is that day or not, but that stock clearly very excited ahead of its AGM. Let's put that question to Mr. Jyotivardhan Jaipuri as well, who joins us on the show to talk to us about the fundamentals of the market. And Jyoti, before I come to you on the markets and other things, what's the view on Reliance? Because ahead of AGM, always the expectations run high. Anything that you are watching out for specifically?
Generally we don't talk on stocks, but obviously, there's a big growth plan ahead of the company, and there are a couple of IPOs which probably may be coming in the company. So we'll have to see what they announce over there. And that's what generally people are expecting.
That's the word coming in as far as Reliance AGM is concerned. But cement as a pack has also done quite well. And then, of course, there were reports doing round that there have been price hikes that have been taken by the company. Question was on sustainability. And it seems like for now, they've managed to hold on to some of those price increases as well. And given the push coming in from the government on infrastructure as well, is this a space to bet on? Or the fact that these companies have just stayed sideways for a long time doesn't really make it to the top of the pecking order?
Yeah, so if you look at cement, essentially the thing is consolidation of the industry, and that's what really is a longer term 2 3 year story. So as the industry consolidates, going forward, profitability in the industry will become much better, and there'll be sustainability of that profitability. Short term, of course, if you see the last 6 months, they've struggled to keep price increases because we've seen prices hiked every time, and then we've seen a rollback happening in the next 15 20 days over there. So our thought is to really look at the industry more as a consolidation play. There are two sets of companies there. One is the people who will acquire, and so some of the larger companies are acquiring smaller companies. They'll become bigger and bigger. The other is some of the companies which will get acquired or which are potential candidates to be acquired. Many of them trade at low valuations, especially when you think of the EV per ton. And those are the companies probably we are betting on more than probably the guys who acquire the companies.
And when it comes to the IT index, the index is at record high. We have been hearing about the recovery in the BFSI space, and the stocks have been rallying. How much do you expect this rally to sustain when it comes to the IT index going forward?
So you see, with IT, what's happened is one is we've seen obviously the sector not doing well. So what you're seeing is a bit of catch up coming there in that. Here, I think there are two longer term issues which probably are dogging the market. One is, does US go into the slowdown? And if we see a slowdown, then does the demand environment again start to deteriorate? And second is, what will be the impact of AI over the next 4 5 years on the demand for IT, especially, will the number of people everyone needs come down, and does that start hurting these companies? So I would say, these are very good, decent companies, lot of cash flow, but, it's more like just now they look cheaper within the space. So you're buying them. The longer term will depend on how the or how the AI pans out over here.
Longer term, need to watch out for the IT story and the AI story. But I also wanted your sense regarding PSUs, defense, manufacturing. Those big themes that we were talking about just a few weeks ago seem to have got a bit undone. Is that really structural in nature, or do you think this is just perhaps a time correction of sorts and you should stay invested in some of these names for long term?
So, from our point of view, defense it's good long term, but the stocks had become very expensive. So it was pricing too much too soon. And, just on valuations, it didn't really make too much sense. So we're not into any of the defense stocks. We are probably close to 0% exposure in the defense stocks. So these are things which will do well because just as a theme, more and more of our defense budget will be given to the Indian players. But it has long gestation. It takes a long time. Second is there's implementation risk in this. So to that extent, the valuations were just not appealing for us. The valuations were too expensive to buy.
And lastly, before we let you go, the banking space has underperformed the overall market on a YTD basis. Do you expect any kind of a revival or a turnaround when it comes to the banking sector or the banking index for the remaining part of the 2024?
So, we've actually started nibbling into the banks. We are buying the banks in the last few weeks. And there are three reasons for it. One is obviously the stocks are cheap and they have underperformed quite a bit. So if you think of our philosophies, generally we buy underperformers which are undervalued. And so banks are fitting over there. The second is, you'll probably not see a quick revival in them because the NIM issue, which is dragging them, will probably continue for the next 6 months. But very often, when you get stocks cheap and you're willing to be more patient, then that's where you can make a lot of money. So for us, probably, sometime in the middle of next calendar year is when the NIMs will start to revive. The market might start to price it a little early. You're getting these stocks cheap. You don't have to jump into them immediately. But yeah, over the period of time, you have to buy them because that is one of the few cheap places in the market today.
Right now, we're all looking for those spots of good risk reward. Thanks so much for joining us today and talking to us
Thanks a
about the
lot.
fundamentals of the market.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.